Hi, my name is Kendra Breland and I'm going to do an informative essay over animal cruelty. Raise your hand if you have a pet. If you ever called your pet your best friend or said it was part of your family, then you're an animal lover. But what you don't realize is that your neighbor or your friend or your part of your family has abused their animals. Now close your eyes and picture an animal being abused, neglected, or tortured. Now open your eyes and see how that makes you feel. Angry and disgusted, right? Well, it's reality and it needs to stop because people are killing innocent animals because they think it's funny to watch or for entertainment purposes. The three major theories that I'm going to talk about to help my audience understand more about stopping this hateful abuse would be that people neglect, abuse, and torture their animals. It needs to be stopped because eventually animals will die from it. To begin with, my first theory would be that people neglect their animals. Neglect is one of the most common things of animal cruelty in the world. One type of animal cruelty happens to be passive cruelty. From Animal Cruelty and Neglect, 1997 and 2011. Passive cruelty is when people leave their animals without food, water, or shelter, and they don't care if their animal gets sick or even dies from it. Owners of these neglected animals won't take them to the vet when they have flea and tick infestations, their collars are too tight to where they choke, or they get really sick. There are about 9 body conditions and about 13 signs of animal cruelty to be recognized, but only a few from each will be discussed. An animal being emaciated is where all the bones in the body are greatly visible and can be seen from a distance. A second body condition will be ideal. An animal will be ideal is anyone that can see the ribs without any excess fat. A third body condition will be heavy. An animal being heavy is where anyone can't see the animal's waist because of how much fat is on the body. The fourth body condition will be obese. An animal being obese is where the ribs are not obvious because you cannot see the waist or there is no fat on the body. Or has a lot of fat in the body, sorry. Animal cruelty from animal neglect from 2001 to 2011. A couple of signs of animal cruelty to be recognized would be flea and tick infestations, heavy discharge in the eyes and nose, the collar being too tight to where it has a neck wound or people still think it's on when it's off, and when the animal is limping or can't even walk straight. From Animal Cruelty and Neglect from 1997 to 2011. In addition to people neglecting their animals, people abuse their animals. Animal abuse is another one of the most common situations of animal cruelty in the world. The name for abuse is called avert, which is intentional abuse. About 13% of animal abuse ends up as domestic violence. From American Humane Association of 2011. Another type of animal cruelty would be active cruelty. Active cruelty is when the owner of the animal beats them until they can no longer stand up. They also stab their animals, cut off their limbs, and choke them until they are in pain. People abuse animals because they do it for entertainment and because they think it's for their personal pleasure. Animals suffer in silence and are defenseless, so people think it's easier to beat them than humans. Animal Cruelty Facts of 2010. The most common abuses are shooting and poisoning their animals and by letting their animals go outside unsupervised. When a person abuses their animals, the animals turn aggressive or they are just plain scared of their owners. Another theory about animal cruelty would be that people torture their animals. Even though it is not a common type of cruelty in the world, it is still the most harmful to animals. People torture their animals for entertainment purposes because they think other people will watch it, and some actually do. People cut off the animals' heads, let the animals bleed out, and are only part of the dramatic effects for entertainment. Animals also get tortured by being experiments in animal testing. Animals are tested for the safety of household products, cosmetics, and medications/prescriptions so humans can use them without any bad side effects. From Animal Cruelty Facts 2010. Pigs, cows, and chickens are severely tortured by farming because animal products came to a cost. Farming started in the early 19th century and still goes on today, from Learning to Give 1992 to 2011. As a result of all this, there is history of how it all started. It started all the way back to ancient times, back during the 12th century. It started after the war between Rome and Great Britain when Romans finally invaded Great Britain. Animals are put into cage fights with other animals, and the Britons like to put their dogs into fights with larger animals like bulls. These fights are popular until 1835 when these were prohibited. It then became dog-on-dog fighting and cockfighting between roosters, and it became popular in the United States too. In 2007, states in the United States banned cockfighting. From Learning to Give 1992 to 2011. To sum up animal cruelty would be that people neglect, abuse, and torture their animals. and it needs to be stopped because their animals will eventually die from it. In 1997, a survey of 50 shelters for victims of domestic violence and child abuse stated that 85% of women and 63% of children had seen animal abuse in their home. 83% of staff members stated that they reported that they observed the coexistence of domestic violence and pet abuse from Learning to Give 1992 to 2011. A lot of organizations, shelters, and law enforcement, including Humane Society of the United States, American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, from Learning to Give 1992 to 2011, are cracking down to solve the issue and are trying to prevent it from happening again. Even though they are trying their best, people still neglect, abuse, and torture their animals, and it's very sad to see. Most of the 50 states have put animal cruelty laws to where there are fines and jail time if someone abuses an innocent animal. From Stray Pet Advocacy in 2010. You should now know why it needs to be stopped and illegal to do. We need to stop it before it's too late for all animals. Off.